Welcome to Pillow Academy. Tonight, we're going to explore something extraordinary. Something you've done every single day of your life. Something so familiar you barely think about it, yet so mysterious that scientists still don't fully understand it. Tonight, we're learning about sleep itself. But here's what makes this lecture different from any other lecture you've ever heard. You're supposed to fall asleep during it. That's not a failure. That's not you being a bad student. That's exactly what should happen. This lecture is designed to teach you about sleep while you're falling asleep. You'll learn about the process while experiencing the process. Understanding and embodiment will merge. Knowledge and rest will become the same thing. If you find this helpful, if you enjoy falling asleep to college-level lectures, consider subscribing to Pillow Academy. We create a library of in-depth educational content designed specifically for sleep learning. New lectures every week on science, history, philosophy, and more. Subscribe so you never miss a journey into knowledge and rest. And we'd love to know, where are you falling asleep from tonight? Drop your city or country in the comments below. It's fascinating to see our community of learners from around the world. Now, before we begin, find the most comfortable position possible. Let your body settle completely. Let it be held by whatever surface is beneath you. There's no need to sit up, to stay alert, to fight against tiredness. If you're lying down, let yourself sink into the bed. If you're in a chair, let your weight be fully supported. Let your shoulders drop away from your ears. Let your jaw relax. Let your tongue rest gently in your mouth. Let any tension drain away like water flowing downward, pulled by gravity, leaving you heavy and still. Close your eyes if you'd like, or keep them open. Either way is fine. There's nothing you need to do but listen, and even listening is optional. You can drift. You can let your attention wander like clouds moving across a sky. You can fall asleep whenever your body is ready. Because here's the truth. Your brain continues processing information even as consciousness fades. Even if you fall asleep in the next few minutes, this information will reach you. It will integrate while you rest. You'll understand sleep more deeply, not despite falling asleep, but because of it. So there's no pressure. No test at the end. No need to remember everything. Just let this knowledge wash over you like waves on a shore. Tonight, we'll explore what sleep really is. Not the simple definition, closing your eyes and resting, but the profound biological transformation that happens every night. We'll discover what your brain does while you're unconscious, why you need this nightly disappearance, what happens when you don't get enough sleep, and how to sleep better. But we won't rush. There's no hurry. We have all night, or however long you need before sleep takes you completely. Think about what you're about to do. You're going to close your eyes and voluntarily become unconscious. For 8 hours, you'll be completely vulnerable, unable to defend yourself, unable to respond to danger, unable to even know if danger exists. And yet you do this willingly, trustingly, every single night of your life. This is perhaps the most profound act of trust you perform. You trust that consciousness will return. You trust that your body knows what to do. You trust in a process you don't control and barely understand, and your body has never failed you. Every morning, consciousness returns. Every morning, you wake. Thousands of times in your life, you've taken this leap into unconsciousness, and thousands of times you've returned safely. Tonight will be no different. Sleep is like an ocean. Every night you wade in from the shore of wakefulness. You float on the surface briefly, feeling the temperature shift, feeling the difference between air and water. Then you descend, deeper, deeper into waters dark and restorative. You'll pass through different depths tonight. Sometimes you'll be near the surface, aware of sounds, able to hear these words. Sometimes you'll dive deeper, into places where awareness disappears entirely. And sometimes you'll be carried by strange currents through vivid underwater grottos where dreams bloom like coral. In the morning, you'll rise back to the surface and emerge onto the shore of day, restored. But that's hours from now. For now, there's only the entry, the wading in, the first gentle waves lapping against your feet. Throughout this journey, you'll notice certain phrases, certain rhythms designed to facilitate your descent. The information remains substantive and accurate. The science remains rigorous, but the delivery acknowledges that you're not in a classroom with bright lights and hard chairs. You're in a space designed for rest, and this lecture respects that. You might wonder, does sleep learning actually work? Can you really learn while sleeping? The answer is subtle. You can't learn entirely new information while fully asleep, but you can learn while falling asleep during that long, drifting transition. You can consolidate information heard before sleep, and you can benefit from repetition across multiple nights, letting the same lecture guide you to sleep again and again, each time deepening your understanding. This lecture is designed for that experience. Listen once, and you'll catch the arc. Listen multiple times, and the details will fill in. Each night, different parts will reach you. Each night, you'll descend at different moments. Gradually, comprehensively, the knowledge will become part of you. Your breathing is already beginning to slow. Perhaps your eyelids are growing heavy. Not just tired, but actually heavier, as if small weights have been attached. That's your body recognizing safety, preparing for rest. Trust it. Welcome it. We live in a world that often treats sleep as optional, as something you can defer, compress, minimize, as something less important than productivity, than accomplishments, than the endless demands of waking life. But your body knows better. Your body knows that sleep is not optional. It's not a luxury. It's not wasted time. Sleep is a biological imperative as fundamental as eating or breathing. Deprive yourself of sleep long enough, and you will die. Not from the secondary effects, not from weakened immunity or metabolic dysfunction. You'll die from the sleep deprivation itself. Your body will simply stop functioning. This tells us something profound. Whatever happens during sleep is so essential that evolution has preserved it despite the obvious costs. Being unconscious for 8 hours every day is enormously risky. Yet every animal with a nervous system sleeps in some form. Sleep is ancient. Sleep is universal. Sleep is essential, and you're about to do it. So let's begin our exploration. Let's understand what your brain is preparing to do. Let's appreciate the extraordinary journey your body is about to undertake. But remember, you don't need to hear every word. You don't need to stay awake. The information is here if you want it. The silence is here if you need it. And sleep, when it comes, is welcome. Let any remaining thoughts drift away like leaves on water, floating downstream, disappearing around a bend. Let your body grow heavier, sinking deeper into rest. Let's discover what sleep really is. Chapter 1. What is sleep? Sleep seems simple. You close your eyes, time passes, you open them again. What could be more ordinary? But if you try to define sleep precisely, it becomes strange, mysterious, almost impossible to describe. Sleep is not just rest. You can rest while awake, sitting quietly, closing your eyes, letting your body recover. But rest doesn't transform consciousness the way sleep does. Your brain during rest looks nothing like your brain during sleep. Sleep is not meditation. Meditators can enter deep calm while staying aware. They're conscious but relaxed. Sleep, by contrast, involves consciousness disappearing entirely. You're not there anymore. You've gone somewhere else, or perhaps nowhere at all. Sleep is not coma or unconsciousness caused by injury. You can't wake yourself from a coma, but you can wake yourself from sleep. An alarm clock works. A loud noise works. Sleep is unconsciousness you can exit. Reversible disappearance. So, what is sleep? Here's one way to understand it. Sleep is a naturally recurring journey into an ocean of unconsciousness. You wade in from the shore of waking. You descend through different depths. You're carried by currents you don't control. And in the morning, you surface again, restored. Scientists measure sleep by watching your brain waves, the electrical patterns created by millions of neurons firing together. They place small sensors on your scalp and record the signals. When you're awake and alert, your brain produces fast, choppy waves. Your neurons are firing somewhat independently, like a crowd of people all talking at once. This creates what looks like electrical noise. But this noise is perfect for thinking, deciding, responding to the world. When you relax with eyes closed, the waves slow slightly. You're still conscious but calm. Still on the shore, but approaching the water. Then something remarkable happens. As you begin falling asleep, your brain waves slow down dramatically. Your neurons stop their chaotic chatter and start firing together in coordinated rhythms. Like an orchestra tuning up, individual instruments playing separately, then suddenly playing the same note in unison. A single tone, clear and strong, pulsing through the whole ensemble. This is the signature of sleep. This synchronized rhythm, this shift from chaos to order, from noise to music. But consciousness doesn't fade smoothly like a dimming light. It flickers. It comes and goes. The transition is strange, unstable, dreamlike. You've felt this. You're lying in bed, thoughts drifting. Suddenly, you jerk awake, not quite sure if you were asleep or just deeply relaxed. This is the threshold, the place where the shore meets the water, where land ends and ocean begins. During this transition, strange things happen. You might see colors behind your eyelids, purples, blues, patterns that swirl and pulse. You might hear sounds that aren't there, a voice calling your name, footsteps in an empty house, music without source. You might feel yourself falling, suddenly, sharply, and jerk awake with your heart racing. This is a hypnic jerk, your muscles contracting involuntarily as your brain begins releasing motor control. These experiences reveal something important. Consciousness is not a simple on-off switch. It's complex, multidimensional, capable of being partially present or absent. You can be aware of some things and not others. You can dream and be partially conscious within the dream. You can be asleep but still hear your baby crying, still respond to your name. Sleep exists on a spectrum with multiple distinct states. Scientists divide sleep into two fundamentally different types, NREM and REM. NREM, non-rapid eye movement sleep, is quiet sleep, deep sleep. The sleep where your body lies still and your brain waves roll in slow, steady rhythms like tides. This is descending into deep water, sinking toward the ocean floor. REM, rapid eye movement sleep, is active sleep, dream sleep. The sleep where your eyes dart back and forth beneath closed lids and your brain waves look almost like waken patterns. This is being carried by strange underwater currents through caverns filled with impossible imagery. These two types alternate throughout the night in cycles lasting roughly 90 minutes each. You descend into deep NREM sleep, then rise toward the surface into lighter sleep and REM, then descend again. 4 to 6 cycles per night, each one slightly different from the last. This pattern, this architecture of sleep, has been preserved across millions of years of evolution. Every mammal does some version of this. It must be important. Each stage must serve purposes that couldn't be accomplished otherwise. Consider dolphins. They breathe air but live underwater. If they fell fully unconscious like you do, they'd drown. So evolution found a solution. Dolphins sleep with half their brain at a time. The left hemisphere sleeps while the right stays awake, controlling surfacing and breathing. A few hours later, they switch. The right hemisphere sleeps while the left keeps watch. They're never fully asleep, never fully awake. Even with this incredible adaptation, half-brain sleep, they still can't eliminate sleep entirely. They still need it. Every animal with a nervous system does. Sleep is negotiable only in its timing and structure. Its necessity is absolute. Every night, you willingly enter a state where consciousness disappears for hours at a time, where you cannot respond normally to your environment, where you're vulnerable to threats you won't perceive, where your sense of time becomes unreliable. Minutes can feel like hours. Hours can pass in what seems like seconds. Your brain creates vivid hallucinations during sleep, dreams that seem completely real while you're experiencing them. You accept impossible events as normal, flying, meeting dead relatives, suddenly being back in childhood. None of it strikes you as strange until you wake. And then you wake up and return to consensus reality as if this journey into an alternate dimension of consciousness were the most ordinary thing in the world. Which, of course, it is. You do this every day. Billions of people do this every day. Sleep is universal, yet it remains deeply mysterious. Where do you go when you're asleep? Not metaphorically. Literally, where does your consciousness go? You will spend roughly 25 years of your life completely unconscious during deep sleep. Not dreaming, not thinking, just gone. And then, miraculously, you return. Every morning, you reassemble. Consciousness flickers back on. You resume. This is so familiar, we forget how mysterious it is. How strange that we trust this daily disappearance. How remarkable that we always return. Perhaps you are already feeling it now, the way your thoughts are beginning to drift, the way it's becoming harder to follow complex ideas, the way your body feels heavier, more distant, as if you're slowly sinking into the surface beneath you. That's sleep approaching. That's your brain beginning its nightly transformation. That's the water reaching your knees, then your waist, then your chest. Let it come. There's nothing to fear. Sleep is the most natural thing in the world. You've done it thousands of times. Your body knows exactly what to do. You're safe. You're held. You're beginning to descend. Let's explore what happens as you sink deeper. Let's map the territory you're about to enter. Let's understand the architecture of sleep, the different depths you'll pass through tonight. But if you're already too drowsy to follow closely, that's perfect. Just let the words become sounds, the sounds become rhythm, the rhythm become the gentle pulse of waves. You're exactly where you should be. Chapter 2. The Depths of Sleep. Imagine you could watch your own brain throughout a full night of sleep. You'd see something remarkable. Not chaos, not randomness, but a structured journey through distinct depths, each with its own rhythm, each serving its own purpose. Sleep has architecture. It's built from layers you pass through in sequence. Understanding these layers helps explain why sleep can't simply be shortened without consequences. Each depth serves specific functions. Skip one, and certain restoration doesn't occur. Let's follow the journey from surface to floor and back again. You're lying in bed. Lights are off. Your body is comfortable. You're ready for sleep, though not yet sleeping. You're still on shore. Your brain is producing gentle waves, alpha rhythms, 8 to 13 pulses per second. Your eyes are closed, but you're still conscious. Then you wade in. This is stage 1. N1. The threshold. Your brain waves slow down. The gentle alpha rhythms give way to slower theta waves, 4 to 8 per second. Your muscle tone decreases. Your heartbeat slows. Your breathing becomes more regular. Your consciousness fragments. Thoughts become less logical, more dreamlike. You're not quite awake and not quite asleep. You're in the shallows now, water at your waist, feet touching sand. But the current is pulling gently, coaxing you deeper. This stage is brief, typically just a few minutes. You're easily brought back. A slight sound might return you to shore. If someone asked whether you were asleep, you might say no, though you were clearly not fully awake. Stage 1 occupies only about 5% of total sleep time. It's a transition, not a destination. A doorway, not a room. Then you wade deeper. Stage 2. N2. Light sleep. This is where you'll spend most of the night, roughly half your total sleep time. This is clearly sleep now. You're unconscious. You wouldn't respond to someone speaking your name in a normal voice. Your body temperature has dropped slightly. Your heart rate has slowed further. Your chest deep in water now. The surface is above you, visible if you open your eyes, but you're no longer standing on solid ground. You're floating, suspended, held by something other than Earth. What makes stage 2 distinctive is what appears in your brain waves, sleep spindles. These are sudden bursts of rapid brain activity lasting a second or two. They look like small explosions of energy against the slower background rhythm. Scientists believe sleep spindles are involved in memory consolidation, in transferring information from temporary storage to permanent storage. The more spindles you generate, the better you consolidate learning from the day. During stage 2, your awareness of the external world is greatly diminished. You're deeply asleep, yet this isn't the deepest sleep possible. You haven't reached the ocean floor yet. That comes next. Stage 3. N3. Deep sleep. Slow wave sleep. The deepest water. This is the sleep that feels like falling into a warm, dark ocean. This is the sleep where time disappears. This is the sleep where you might drool because your muscles are so relaxed your jaw goes slack. This is the sleep where, if someone wakes you, you'll be profoundly disoriented, unable to form coherent thoughts for several minutes. You've descended to the ocean floor now. Pressure surrounds you. Darkness is complete. There's no surface, no light, no awareness of anything beyond the depth. Your brain waves have shifted to delta waves, slow, powerful oscillations, less than 4 pulses per second. These are the slowest brain waves humans produce. They represent massive groups of neurons firing in perfect synchrony, creating rolling waves of electrical activity like swells moving across deep ocean. This synchronization is remarkable. During waking, your neurons fire independently, creating complexity and flexibility. During deep sleep, they fire together in simple, powerful rhythms, like a crowd of people all breathing in unison. In, out, in, out. One slow rhythm, pulsing through your entire brain. Why? Because deep sleep is when your brain does housekeeping. This is when the washing system works. During waking, your neurons are packed tightly together, maximizing connections. During deep sleep, they shrink slightly, creating space between them. Fluid flows through these spaces, washing away metabolic waste that accumulated during the day. One of these waste products is beta amyloid, a protein that accumulates in Alzheimer's disease. Deep sleep clears it away. Chronic sleep deprivation allows it to build up. Night after night of poor sleep, year after year, and the debris accumulates like dust in an abandoned house. Deep sleep is also when your body does its most intensive repair. Growth hormone is released primarily during deep sleep. Children spend more time here because they're still growing. Adults need it for cellular repair, immune function, tissue regeneration. If you're woken from deep sleep, you'll experience sleep inertia, a period of grogginess, confusion, impaired performance that can last 30 minutes or more. Your brain was so far from waking consciousness that it needs time to return. Like a deep-sea diver rising too quickly, you need a time to decompress, to adjust, to remember where you are. Deep sleep is most abundant in the first half of the night. The first sleep cycle might include 30 to 40 minutes here. Later cycles include progressively less. By morning, you might spend almost no time at the ocean floor. This is why sleeping in doesn't fully compensate for going to bed late. You miss the deep, sleep-rich early cycles, and you can't make them up later. The opportunity passes. After 30 to 60 minutes in the depths, something remarkable happens. Instead of staying on the ocean floor, you begin to rise. You pass back through stage 2, ascending slowly, moving back toward the surface. But you don't emerge completely. Instead, you're caught by strange currents. You're pulled sideways through underwater caverns you didn't know existed. You've entered REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep, dream sleep. In some ways, REM sleep looks like waking. Your brain waves shift to faster rhythms. Your brain's metabolic rate increases. Your brain is active, consuming energy, generating heat. But your body is paralyzed. This is called REM atonia, the temporary paralysis of most voluntary muscles during REM sleep. Your brainstem actively inhibits motor neurons, preventing your muscles from moving. You can still breathe. Your diaphragm continues working. Your heart continues beating. But your arms, legs, torso, all paralyzed. This paralysis serves a crucial function. It prevents you from acting out your dreams. During REM sleep, your motor cortex generates activity as if you were moving. If your muscles could respond, you'd thrash around, potentially injuring yourself or others. But it also means REM sleep involves a profound contradiction. Your brain is highly active. Your mind is generating vivid experiences, yet your body lies completely still. You're simultaneously activated and immobilized, dreaming of running but frozen in place, and your eyes move. Beneath closed lids, your eyes dart back and forth in rapid, jerky movements. This is the rapid eye movement that gives REM sleep its name. Why the eyes move is still debated. You might be looking around in your dreams. Or the movements might be random byproducts of brain activation. No one knows for certain. REM sleep is when most vivid dreaming occurs. Wake someone from REM sleep, and about 80% of the time they'll report a dream, not vague fragments. Detailed, narrative, emotionally intense experiences that felt completely real while they were happening. Your first REM period of the night is brief, maybe 10 minutes. But as the night progresses, REM periods lengthen. By morning, you might have 30 to 60-minute REM periods. This is why most dreams occur in the early morning hours. You're spending most of your time in these strange underwater currents then. So, a full night's sleep involves cycling through these depths. Wade in through stage 1, float in stage 2, dive to the ocean floor in stage 3, rise back through stage 2. Get caught in the dream currents of REM. This cycle takes about 90 minutes, then it repeats, but each cycle is different. Early cycles are rich in deep sleep, with relatively short REM periods. Later cycles have little or no deep sleep, with long REM periods. This pattern reflects different priorities. Early in the night, physical restoration and brain maintenance take priority. Later in the night, memory consolidation and emotional processing take priority. You need both. Cut sleep short, and you miss the REM-rich later cycles. Sleep poorly, and you might not reach deep sleep even when you're in bed for 8 hours. The architecture of sleep is not arbitrary. It's a carefully orchestrated progression through depths that each serve essential functions. Disturb this architecture through sleep disorders, drugs, alcohol, stress, and you pay consequences even if you spend enough time in bed. Your brain knows this architecture intimately. Right now, without any conscious effort, it's preparing to guide you through these depths. It knows how long to spend at each level. It knows when to descend and when to rise. It's done this thousands of times before. Right now, if you're feeling drowsy, your brain is preparing to begin this journey. Stage 1 is approaching. The water is reaching your waist. The transition is near. Your breathing has probably deepened. Your body has grown heavier. Your thoughts are beginning to drift away from logical sequences toward looser associations, fleeting images, the first strange visions of the hypnagogic state. This is normal. This is healthy. This is your brain doing exactly what it evolved to do. Let yourself continue descending. There's no need to hold on to wakefulness. The information will be here. You can return to this lecture tomorrow night, or the night after, or never. The knowledge will integrate regardless. For now, just let your body do what it knows how to do. You're safe. You're descending. The depths are waiting. Let's continue by exploring why this nightly descent is so essential. What happens during sleep that's so important? Evolution preserved it despite the risks. Why you literally cannot live without sleep. But if you're already too deep to hear clearly, that's perfect. The words can become distant sounds, like voices heard from underwater. You're exactly where you should be. Chapter 3. Why You Must Sleep. In 1964, a 17-year-old named Randy Gardner decided to break the world record for staying awake. It was a science fair project. He wanted to see what would happen if he didn't sleep. Researchers from a local university agreed to monitor him. He stayed awake for 11 days, 264 hours. By day 2, he had trouble focusing his eyes. By day 4, he was hallucinating. He thought a street sign was a person. A walk down the hallway felt like walking through fog. By day 7, his speech was slurred. His memory was failing. He couldn't remember why he was doing this. He'd start a sentence and forget how to finish it. By day 11, he could barely function. He was conscious but not really present. His brain was there but not working, like a computer still turned on but unable to run programs. When he finally slept, he slept for 15 hours. But here's the remarkable thing. He recovered completely. His brain forgave him. Within a few days, he was back to normal. But the researchers who monitored him said they would never attempt this experiment again. They watched a healthy teenager essentially disintegrate before their eyes, simply from lack of sleep. They realized they were witnessing something dangerous, something that revealed how absolutely essential sleep is. Randy survived, but that's 11 days. What happens if you go longer? There's a family in Italy, their name isn't public, with a terrible genetic mutation. Around age 40 or 50, without warning, they stop being able to sleep. Not insomnia in the normal sense. They literally cannot fall asleep, no matter what they do, no matter what drugs they take. For months, they lie awake every night, desperate for sleep that never comes. They watch helplessly as their bodies deteriorate. They know what's happening. They know what's coming. Within 12 to 18 months, they die. There is no cure. This rare disease, fatal familial insomnia, proves something we already suspected. Sleep is not optional. Your body can survive weeks without food, days without water, but without sleep, a year at most, usually much less. Whatever happens during sleep is so essential that you die without it, not from side effects, not from secondary problems. The sleep deprivation itself is fatal. So what happens during sleep that's so important? Why did evolution preserve this nightly disappearance despite the enormous risks? Scientists have identified several essential functions, several restorations that occur during sleep and cannot or do not occur during waking. Sleep is not one thing serving one purpose. It's a collection of processes, a symphony of activities that together restore and maintain your brain and body. Let's explore the three most important. First, your brain consolidates memories. During the day, you experience countless moments. You learn new information. You practice skills. You have conversations, see faces, navigate places. All of this is initially stored in a temporary holding area, your hippocampus, a seahorse-shaped structure deep in your brain. But the hippocampus has limited capacity. It's like short-term memory in a computer, fast, flexible, but temporary. For memories to persist, they need to be transferred to long-term storage in your cortex. This transfer happens during sleep. During deep sleep, your hippocampus replays the day's experiences to your cortex, but in fast forward. Neurons that fired together during learning fire together again during sleep, but at accelerated speeds. Your brain is literally replaying your experiences, practicing what you learned, strengthening the connections that matter. Scientists have measured this directly. They've recorded from neurons in rats learning to navigate mazes. During sleep, those same neurons fire in the same sequences, but compressed in time, like watching a recording at double speed. The rat's brain is replaying the maze, practicing the path, even while the rat is asleep. In humans, the same thing happens. Learn a task before sleeping, and you'll perform better after sleep than you would after an equivalent period of waking. Sleep didn't just prevent forgetting, it actively improved the skill. This is true for motor skills, playing piano, typing, juggling. It's true for cognitive skills, solving problems, understanding concepts, recognizing patterns. It's true for emotional memories, integrating experiences, extracting meaning, understanding what happened. Your brain is not a passive recording device. It's an active processing system, and much of that processing happens while you sleep, when the brain can reorganize and integrate without the interference of new incoming information. This is why students who stay up all night before exams perform worse than students who study less but sleep more. Learning requires sleep. Knowledge requires sleep. The memories you form today need tonight's sleep to become permanent. Second, your brain cleans itself. During waking, your neurons consume energy, produce waste, maintain constant activity. This generates metabolic byproducts, proteins, debris, toxic substances that accumulate in the spaces between brain cells. If this waste isn't cleared, it becomes toxic. Proteins misfold and clump together. The brain's environment becomes hostile to normal function. Over time, this accumulation contributes to neurodegeneration. For decades, scientists didn't know how the brain cleared this waste. Other organs use the lymphatic system, a network of vessels that drain fluid and toxins. But the brain has no lymphatic vessels. Then, researchers discovered the glymphatic system, the brain's washing system. During deep sleep, your brain cells shrink slightly. This creates more space between them. Cerebrospinal fluid, the clear fluid surrounding your brain, flows through these enlarged spaces like a tide washing through tide pools. It carries waste toward drainage pathways, ultimately flushing it from your brain. This system works primarily during sleep. During waking, brain cells are expanded, spaces are tight, fluid flow is minimal. But during deep sleep, the washing system operates at high efficiency, clearing waste that accumulated all day. One substance cleared this way is beta amyloid, the protein that accumulates in Alzheimer's disease. Every night of deep sleep, your brain washes away beta amyloid, but chronic sleep deprivation allows it to accumulate. Night after night, year after year, the debris builds up. Think of it like not taking out the trash. One day doesn't matter much. 1 week starts to smell. 1 month becomes a problem. Years become a disaster. This is your brain working while you sleep. Not to think or plan or react, but to clean, to maintain, to restore the chemical environment necessary for tomorrow's thinking. Third, your body repairs itself. While you lie unconscious, your body is performing miracles you'll never witness. Growth hormone is released primarily during deep sleep. This hormone stimulates tissue growth, protein synthesis, cellular repair. Children spend more time in deep sleep because they're still growing. Adults need it for maintenance, repairing muscles, healing tissues, replacing cells. Your immune system becomes more active during sleep. T cells, immune cells that fight infection, increase their activity. Cytokines, proteins that coordinate immune response, are produced at higher rates. This is why you sleep more when you're sick. Your body is prioritizing immune function. It's dedicating resources to fighting infection rather than to waking activities. Studies have shown that people who sleep less than 7 hours per night are 3 times more likely to develop a cold when exposed to the virus compared to people who sleep 8 hours or more. Sleep deprivation weakens immune function directly. Your cardiovascular system also recovers during sleep. Blood pressure drops. Heart rate slows. The cardiovascular system gets a break from the demands of waking activity. Chronic sleep deprivation keeps blood pressure elevated, stresses the heart, increases risk of heart disease and stroke. Even your metabolism is regulated by sleep. Sleep affects hormones that control appetite, ghrelin and leptin. Sleep deprivation increases ghrelin, which makes you hungry, and decreases leptin, which signals fullness. This is why you feel hungrier when you're sleep deprived. It's also why chronic sleep loss is associated with weight gain and obesity. While you lie there, unconscious, unknowing, your body is working. Your brain is washing itself clean. Your immune system is fighting battles you'll never witness. Your neurons are deciding which memories matter and which to let fade. Your muscles are repairing damage you didn't know existed. All of this happens in darkness, in silence, without your participation. Your body knows how to heal itself. It just needs you to step aside, to stop interfering, to surrender control. This is the gift of sleep. Restoration without effort, healing without action, maintenance without awareness. In a world that demands endless productivity, endless optimization, endless self-improvement, sleep asks nothing of you. It doesn't ask you to be better, smarter, more accomplished. It asks only that you stop, that you lie down, that you close your eyes, that you trust. This is radical in its simplicity. This is the opposite of ambition. This is pure being without doing. And it's essential. Perhaps the most essential thing. You cannot live without sleep. You literally cannot. This is your body reminding you. You are not a machine. You are biological. You are animal. You need rest, restoration, surrender. And that's not weakness. That's what makes you alive. Perhaps right now, as you lie here, you can feel it. Your body working, processes unfolding, repair happening. Even though you're not trying, not striving, not doing anything except being present and still. Your breathing has deepened into a steady rhythm. Your heartbeat has slowed. Your body temperature has dropped slightly. All signs that sleep is approaching, that the restoration is beginning. You're safe. You're held. You're descending deeper into the ocean. And down here, in these depths, your body does its most important work. The work that keeps you alive. The work that makes tomorrow possible. Let it happen. Let the processes unfold. There's nothing you need to do. we'll continue by exploring the internal clock that tells you when to sleep and when to wake. The rhythm that synchronizes you with the rotation of Earth. But if you're already too deep to follow, that's exactly right. The words can become background. The lecture can fade. And sleep, when it takes you completely, is welcome. You're exactly where you should be. Chapter 4. Your Internal Clock. Deep in your brain, no bigger than a grain of rice, sits your master clock. 20,000 neurons, all ticking together, keeping time with remarkable precision. This tiny cluster, the suprachiasmatic nucleus, orchestrates when you feel sleepy, when you feel alert, when every rhythmic process in your body should happen. You have a clock inside you, not a metaphorical clock, an actual biological timekeeper that ticks through roughly 24-hour cycles. It makes you tired at night and alert in the morning. It controls when your body temperature rises and falls, when hormones are released, when your immune system is most active. This internal rhythm is called your circadian rhythm, from Latin, circa diem, around a day, approximately 24 hours. You've felt this rhythm your whole life. You feel sleepy at roughly the same time each evening. You wake at roughly the same time each morning, even without an alarm. You feel a dip in alertness around 2 or 3 p.m., regardless of whether you ate lunch. You feel more energized in late morning and early evening than in early afternoon or late night. These patterns aren't random. They're generated by biological clockwork that operates whether you're aware of it or not. Your master clock, that grain of rice in your brain, sends signals to every organ and tissue. And, remarkably, nearly every part of your body has its own clock. Your liver has a clock. Your muscles have clocks. Your skin has clocks. They all maintain their own rhythms, but they're synchronized by the master. Like an orchestra with many instruments, each keeping its own part, but all following the same conductor. When the conductor says allegro, everyone plays faster. When the conductor says pianissimo, everyone plays softer. The master clock conducts your body's symphony of rhythms. This ensures that different processes happen at appropriate times. Digestion is enhanced during the day when you're likely to eat. Immune function peaks at night. Tissue repair happens during sleep when energy demands are lower. Cell division happens at specific times. Even your likelihood of having a heart attack or stroke varies by time of day. Your body is orchestrating a complex symphony of biological processes, all timed precisely. But here's something remarkable. Your internal clock doesn't run on exactly 24 hours. For most people, the intrinsic period is slightly longer, about 24.2 hours. Without external cues, you'd gradually drift later and later, going to bed a few minutes later each night. Within weeks, you'd be completely out of sync with the external world, sleeping during daylight and waking at night. This has been demonstrated in experiments. People isolated from all time cues, no clocks, no windows, no schedules, initially maintain a regular sleep-wake cycle. But gradually, their cycle lengthens. They go to sleep later and later. Their internal clocks run slightly slow, like a watch that loses a few minutes each day. So why doesn't this happen in real life? Why don't you gradually drift into sleeping all day? Because your clock is reset each morning by light. Light is the most powerful synchronizer of your circadian rhythm. When light enters your eyes, particularly blue light, the wavelength associated with daylight, It's detected by special cells in your retina. These cells don't help you see. They exist solely to inform your master clock about environmental light levels. When these cells detect light in the morning, they send signals to your master clock. It's day. It's time to wake up. Your clock adjusts, synchronizing with the 24-hour day. Morning light advances your clock slightly, makes you sleepy earlier tonight. Evening light delays your clock, makes you sleepy later tonight. This daily adjustment keeps you synchronized despite your clock running slightly slow. The master clock then orchestrates appropriate responses. In the evening, it signals your pineal gland to release melatonin, the hormone of darkness. Melatonin doesn't make you sleep directly, but it signals that nighttime has arrived, preparing your body for sleep. Body temperature begins to drop. Alertness decreases. You start feeling sleepy. In the morning, light suppresses melatonin. Body temperature rises. Cortisol is released. Alertness increases. You feel awake. This system worked beautifully for most of human history. People woke with sunrise, were active during the day, wound down as darkness fell, and slept through the night. The internal clock stayed synchronized with natural day-night cycles. But modern life has disrupted this system. Electric lighting allows us to extend our days far beyond sunset. We are exposed to bright light, particularly blue light from screens, late into the evening. This tells our master clock it's still daytime. Melatonin release is delayed. Our clocks shift later. Then we force ourselves to wake early for work or school, truncating sleep before our bodies are ready. We use alarm clocks to override our natural wake time. We drink coffee to counteract the sleepiness our circadian clock is still generating. The result is social jet lag, a mismatch between your biological clock and your social obligations. Your body wants to sleep from 1 a.m. to 9 a.m., but society demands you're awake by 7 a.m. So you accumulate sleep debt, function below potential, feel chronically tired. This mismatch has consequences. Misaligned circadian rhythms are associated with increased risk of obesity, diabetes, heart disease, depression, even cancer. Shift workers, people who work at night and sleep during the day, have significantly higher rates of these conditions because their clocks never fully adjust. Your circadian clock doesn't just control sleep. It controls metabolism, hormone release, immune function, cell division, DNA repair. Force these processes to occur at the wrong time, and the entire system becomes dysfunctional. There's also individual variation in circadian rhythms. You've probably heard people described as morning larks or night owls. This isn't just preference, it's biology. Some people have naturally earlier circadian rhythms. They wake easily at dawn, feel most alert in the morning, start winding down by 9 p.m. Others have naturally later rhythms. They struggle to wake before 9 or 10 a.m., feel most alert in the evening, don't feel sleepy until midnight or later. These differences are real and measurable. Morning types release melatonin earlier in the evening. Their body temperature peaks earlier in the day. Their entire circadian system runs a few hours earlier than evening types. Society tends to favor morning types. School starts early. Work starts early. Morning people are praised as disciplined and productive. Evening people are criticized as lazy, but this is unfair. Evening types aren't choosing to stay up late any more than morning types are choosing to wake early. They're following their biological clocks. Force an evening type to wake at 6 a.m. every day, and you're essentially giving them permanent jet lag. This is particularly true for teenagers. During adolescence, the circadian rhythm shifts dramatically later, sometimes by 2 or 3 hours. This is a biological change driven by hormones, not a lifestyle choice. Teenagers naturally fall asleep around 11 p.m. or midnight. They need 9 to 10 hours of sleep. But school starts at 7 or 8 a.m. The math doesn't work. Most teenagers are chronically sleep deprived, functioning on 6 or 7 hours of sleep when they need 9. Sophie is 16. Her biology tells her to fall asleep at midnight. School starts at 7:15 a.m. She wakes at 6:30, groggy, disoriented, barely able to open her eyes. In first period, she can barely stay awake. Her teacher assumes she's lazy. Her parents think she stays up too late on her phone. But Sophie is fighting her own biology. Forcing her to wake at 6:30 is like waking an adult at 4:30 a.m. every day for years. When Sophie's school district shifted start times to 8:45 a.m., something remarkable happened. Attendance improved. Grades rose. Reports of depression and anxiety decreased. Car accidents among teen drivers dropped 70%. Sophie didn't change. The schedule aligned with her biology. Understanding your circadian rhythm has practical implications. If you want to sleep better, work with your clock, not against it. Get bright light in the morning, sunlight if possible, but even bright indoor light helps. This advances your clock, makes you sleepy earlier in the evening. Dim lights as evening approaches. Minimize screen time before bed, or use blue light filters. This allows melatonin to rise naturally, preparing you for sleep. Keep a consistent schedule. Go to bed at roughly the same time each night. Wake at roughly the same time each morning, even on weekends. This keeps your clock stable and synchronized. Your clock is powerful, but it's not immutable. You can nudge it, shift it, optimize it, but you can't ignore it without consequences. Right now, your circadian clock is signaling sleep. Melatonin has risen. Body temperature has dropped. Alertness is decreasing. Every cell in your body knows what time it is, and you're listening. You're lying still. You're allowing the process to unfold. Perhaps your thoughts have become less coherent. Perhaps you're losing track of these words. Perhaps you've already entered that borderland between waking and sleeping, where awareness flickers like a candle in gentle wind. This is your clock at work. This is billions of years of evolution guiding you toward the rest you need. This is your body, synchronized with the rotation of Earth, responding to ancient rhythms that predate humanity. When you feel sleepy as darkness falls, you're feeling something that every ancestor felt. Every human who ever lived felt this same pull toward sleep as night approached. You're connected across time through this shared rhythm. Let it guide you now. Trust it. Your body knows what time it is, even if your mind has lost track. We'll continue exploring sleep, the strange realm of dreams, the problems that can occur, the changes across a lifetime. But you don't need to hear every word. The information is here if you want it. The silence is here if you need it. Right now, just rest. Just be. Just let the rhythm carry you deeper. You're safe. You're held. You're exactly where you should be. Chapter 5. The Realm of Dreams. You're walking down a hallway in a building you've never seen before, yet it feels completely familiar. Your childhood friend is there, but they look different. Older, younger, somehow both at once. You're late for something important, though you can't remember what. You turn a corner and suddenly you're outside, in a field, and the sky is a color that doesn't exist in waking life. Purple-green or orange-blue, impossible yet utterly real. Nothing about this sequence makes logical sense. But while you're experiencing it, it feels normal. You don't question the impossibilities. You accept the strange juxtapositions, the fluid transformations, the impossible physics. You're dreaming. Dreams are among the most mysterious aspects of human experience. Every night, you generate vivid, bizarre hallucinations. You create entire worlds, complete with sights, sounds, emotions, narratives. You populate these worlds with people who seem autonomous but are actually creations of your own mind. And then you wake up, and within minutes, most of the dream has evaporated. You might remember fragments, a feeling, an image, a person, but the detailed, coherent narrative you experienced moments before has dissolved like mist in sunlight. What are dreams? Where do they come from? Why do they take the forms they do? Most vivid dreaming happens during REM sleep, when your brain is highly active but your body is paralyzed, when your eyes move rapidly beneath closed lids, when you're caught in those strange underwater currents, carried through caverns of impossible imagery. Your visual cortex is active, generating images even though your eyes are closed. Your emotional centers are active, generating feelings. Your motor cortex is active, planning movements that your paralyzed body cannot execute. But the part of your brain responsible for logical thinking, your prefrontal cortex, is relatively quiet. This region normally evaluates whether something makes sense, whether it follows the laws of physics, whether it's consistent with reality. During REM sleep, this evaluative function is diminished. The result? Your brain generates vivid experiences without logical constraints. You accept impossibilities as normal because the part of your brain that would recognize them as impossible isn't fully engaged. Dreams feel coherent while you're having them because you lack the cognitive machinery to recognize their incoherence. It's only upon waking, when your prefrontal cortex reactivates, that you realize how bizarre the dream was. But why do dreams exist at all? What purpose, if any, do they serve? One theory suggests dreams are your brain's attempt to make sense of random activation. During REM sleep, the brainstem generates somewhat random neural activity. Your cortex tries to create meaning from this activity, synthesizing it into a narrative. Dreams are your brain's best attempt to create stories from noise. This explains why dreams are bizarre yet narratively structured. The underlying signals are random, but your cortex imposes coherence, weaving the disparate elements into something resembling a story. Another theory proposes that dreams reflect memory consolidation. During REM sleep, your brain is replaying and reorganizing memories. As memories are reactivated, you experience fragments, sights, sounds, emotions, which your cortex strings together into dream narratives. This explains why dreams often feature recent experiences mixed with older memories in strange combinations. Your brain is linking new memories with old ones, finding patterns, integrating information. You experience this process as a dream. A third theory suggests dreams serve an emotional regulation function. During REM sleep, your brain reactivates emotional memories, but in a neurochemical environment where stress hormones are absent. This allows emotional memories to be processed without the accompanying physiological stress response. The result? Emotional memories gradually lose their intense charge. You remember the event, but no longer feel overwhelmed by it. This is adaptive. You need to learn from emotional experiences without being traumatized by them. This theory explains why dreams are often emotionally intense and frequently feature anxiety-provoking scenarios. Your brain is practicing emotional responses, processing difficult feelings in a safe context where nothing can actually hurt you. Most dreams aren't lucid. Most occur without self-awareness, without recognition that you're dreaming. But sometimes, rarely for most people, you become aware within the dream. You realize you're dreaming while still asleep. This is lucid dreaming, and it occurs during REM sleep when there's a brief increase in prefrontal cortex activity. This allows self-awareness to emerge within the dream state. Lucid dreamers can sometimes control their dreams, deciding where to go, what to do, even altering the dream environment. Some people lucid dream spontaneously. Others can learn through training. Practices like regularly checking whether you're awake or dreaming throughout the day. Lucid dreaming can reduce nightmares. If you become lucid during a nightmare, you can change it. It can facilitate problem solving. And it's simply fascinating. A chance to explore consciousness from inside, to play at the boundaries between waking and dreaming. But most dreams aren't lucid, and most dreams are forgotten. Why do you forget dreams so quickly? You might wake remembering a dream vividly, planning to write it down. But minutes later, it's gone. By evening, you might not remember dreaming at all. Dream forgetting likely relates to the brain chemistry of REM sleep. The neurochemicals important for encoding new memories are at low levels during REM. Your brain is good at reactivating existing memories during dreams, but poor at encoding new memories of the dream itself. Additionally, during the transition from sleep to waking, your brain state changes dramatically. The context in which the dream occurred no longer exists. Dreams are context-dependent memories, easier to recall when you're in a similar state, harder to access once you've fully woken. Not everyone remembers dreams equally. Some people recall dreams nearly every night. Others claim they never dream, but they do dream. Everyone with intact REM sleep dreams multiple times each night. The difference is in recall, not in dreaming itself. If you want to remember dreams, the key is to write them down immediately upon waking before the memory fades. Keep a journal by your bed. Capture the dream the moment you wake while it's still accessible. Do dreams have meaning? This is perhaps the most debated question. Freud believed every dream element was symbolic, requiring interpretation to reveal unconscious wishes. Modern science generally rejects this view. There's no evidence for a consistent dream language where specific symbols always mean specific things. But this doesn't mean dreams are meaningless. They reflect your concerns, memories, emotions. They reveal what's on your mind, what you're processing, what matters to you. In this sense, dreams absolutely have meaning, just not a fixed symbolic code. You're likely the best interpreter of your own dreams. You know your life, your associations, your concerns. A snake in your dream might represent danger, or it might mean you saw a documentary about snakes yesterday, or you're worried about an upcoming challenge. context matters. Your life provides that context. Perhaps you're dreaming right now. Perhaps you've already entered REM sleep while listening to this. Perhaps words are becoming woven into your dreams, information integrating with imagery in strange and surprising ways. Or perhaps you're in NREM sleep, experiencing vague, thought-like content rather than vivid dreams. Or perhaps awareness has faded completely, and these words are reaching you at a level below consciousness, processed without explicit recognition. Either way, you're where you should be. Sleep has its own intelligence. Your brain knows what to do. Consciousness can fade. The words can stop mattering. The explanations can dissolve into background. You're safe. You're resting. Your dreams, when they come, will take the forms they need to take. Let them come. Let them be what they are. Strange, vivid, impossible, meaningful, forgotten. All of this is normal. All of this is part of the journey through sleep. We'll continue by exploring what happens when sleep goes wrong, the disorders, the problems, and most importantly, the solutions. But you don't need to stay awake for this. If sleep has claimed you, welcome it fully. Let the dreams carry you wherever they go. Let consciousness disappear if it wants to. You're exactly where you should be. Chapter 6. When Sleep Goes Wrong. For most people, most of the time, sleep works. You feel tired in the evening. You fall asleep within 20 minutes. You sleep through most of the night. You wake feeling reasonably refreshed. The system functions as it should. But for millions of people, sleep doesn't work this well. They struggle to fall asleep, lying awake for hours with racing thoughts. Or they wake repeatedly through the night, unable to stay asleep. Or they wake too early, unable to return to sleep despite exhaustion. Or their sleep is disrupted by breathing problems, by leg movements, by overwhelming urges to move. Sleep disorders are common. About 30% of adults experience symptoms of insomnia. Roughly 10 to 20% have chronic insomnia, severe enough to significantly impair daily functioning. Sleep apnea affects perhaps 10% of adults, many undiagnosed. Understanding these problems and their solutions is important, not just for those directly affected, but for anyone who wants to optimize sleep. Let's explore the most common sleep problems and what can be done. Insomnia. Insomnia is difficulty falling asleep, staying asleep, or returning to sleep after waking too early, despite having adequate opportunity for sleep. Some people have onset insomnia, difficulty falling asleep initially. They lie awake for an hour or more, mind racing, body tense, unable to relax into sleep. Others have maintenance insomnia, difficulty staying asleep. They fall asleep normally but wake repeatedly through the night, sometimes for extended periods. Others have early morning awakening, waking 2 or 3 hours before intended, unable to return to sleep. Sometimes insomnia is secondary to another condition. Depression, anxiety, chronic pain, medication side effects. Treat the underlying condition, and the insomnia often improves. But sometimes insomnia becomes self-sustaining. You have a few bad nights due to stress. You begin associating your bed with wakefulness and frustration. You develop anxiety about sleep, which makes sleep even more difficult. A cycle develops. The most effective treatment for chronic insomnia is not medication. It's cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, CBTI. This is a structured program of techniques that retrain your brain to sleep. The core components. Sleep restriction. You limit time in bed to match actual sleep time. If you're only sleeping 6 hours despite being in bed for 8, you start by allowing yourself only 6 hours in bed. This builds sleep pressure, consolidates sleep, breaks the association between bed and wakefulness. As sleep improves, time in bed is gradually increased. Stimulus control. Use your bed only for sleep. Not reading, not watching TV, not scrolling phones. If you can't fall asleep within 20 minutes, get out of bed. Do something calming elsewhere. Return only when sleepy. This reestablishes the association between bed and sleep. Cognitive work. Address anxious thoughts about sleep. Catastrophizing. I'll never sleep again. This will ruin my life. Makes anxiety worse. Learning to view poor sleep more realistically reduces the distress that perpetuates insomnia. Sleep hygiene. Optimize environment and behaviors. Cool, dark, quiet room. Consistent schedule. Limited caffeine and alcohol. Regular exercise, but not right before bed. CBTI is remarkably effective. Studies show lasting improvements in 70 to 80% of people with chronic insomnia. Effects persist long-term, unlike sleep medications which only work while you're taking them. Sleep medications. Benzodiazepines. Newer drugs like zolpidem, even over-the-counter antihistamines, can provide temporary relief, but they have significant drawbacks. They don't produce natural sleep architecture. They can cause next-day grogginess, memory problems, dependence. They should be used sparingly and short-term, not as chronic solutions. If you experience insomnia, behavioral approaches should be first-line treatment. Sleep apnea. Sleep apnea is repeated interruptions in breathing during sleep. The airway partially or completely collapses, preventing airflow. Oxygen levels drop. The brain detects this and briefly wakes you enough to restore breathing. Then you fall back asleep, and the cycle repeats, sometimes dozens of times per hour. Most people with sleep apnea don't remember these awakenings. They might remember nothing unusual, but they wake unrefreshed, feel exhausted during the day, fall asleep unintentionally during sedentary activities. Sleep apnea is dangerous. It fragments sleep, preventing restorative deep and REM sleep. It causes repeated oxygen drops, stressing the cardiovascular system. It's associated with high blood pressure, heart disease, stroke, cognitive impairment. The classic symptom is loud snoring punctuated by periods of silence, when breathing stops, followed by gasping or choking sounds when breathing resumes. But not everyone snores, and not everyone who snores has sleep apnea. If you're chronically exhausted despite adequate time in bed, if you snore heavily, if your partner reports that you stop breathing during sleep, you should be evaluated. The most effective treatment is CPAP, continuous positive airway pressure. You wear a mask connected to a machine that delivers pressurized air, keeping your airway open throughout the night. It's remarkably effective. Breathing interruptions stop. Sleep quality improves. Daytime fatigue resolves. Many people struggle with CPAP initially. The mask is uncomfortable. The pressure feels strange. But newer masks are more comfortable, and adjusting to CPAP can be life-changing. Energy returns, mood improves, cardiovascular risk decreases. Other treatments include weight loss, oral appliances that reposition the jaw, sleeping on your side rather than your back, and, in severe cases, surgery. Sleep apnea should be taken seriously. It's not just about fatigue. It's about long-term health. Restless leg syndrome. Restless leg syndrome is an overwhelming urge to move your legs, usually accompanied by uncomfortable sensations, crawling, tingling, aching. The sensations worsen at rest and in the evening, making it difficult to fall asleep. Moving the legs temporarily relieves the discomfort, but it returns moments later. You might have to get up and walk around. You might spend hours unable to stay still, unable to relax into sleep. Restless legs affects perhaps 5 to 10% of adults. It's often associated with iron deficiency, even when iron levels are technically within normal range. Other causes include kidney disease, pregnancy, and certain medications. Treatment starts with addressing underlying causes. Check iron levels, especially ferritin. Supplementation often helps if levels are low. Avoid exacerbating factors. Caffeine, alcohol, antihistamines can worsen symptoms. For severe cases, medications can reduce symptoms significantly. But for many people, simple measures, iron supplementation, moderate exercise, avoiding triggers, provide substantial relief. General strategies for better sleep. Whether or not you have a diagnosed disorder, certain strategies improve sleep quality. Consistency. Go to bed and wake up at the same time every day, including weekends. This stabilizes your circadian rhythm. Light exposure. Get bright light in the morning, preferably sunlight. Dim lights in the evening. Avoid screens before bed or use blue light filters. Cool environment. Your core body temperature needs to drop for sleep. A cool room, around 65 to 68 degrees, facilitates this. Darkness. Even small amounts of light can suppress melatonin. Use blackout curtains or an eye mask. Quiet. Use earplugs or white noise if you're in a noisy environment. Comfortable bedding. Invest in a good mattress and pillows. Discomfort fragments sleep. Limit caffeine. Caffeine has a half-life of 5 to 6 hours. Coffee at 4 p.m. means significant caffeine still in your system at bedtime. Avoid caffeine after early afternoon. Limit alcohol. Alcohol might help you fall asleep initially, but it fragments sleep later in the night and suppresses REM sleep. A nightcap trades sleep quality for sleep onset. A poor trade. Exercise. Regular exercise improves sleep quality, deepens slow-wave sleep, reduces the time it takes to fall asleep. But avoid vigorous exercise within 2 to 3 hours of bedtime. Manage stress. Anxiety and rumination are common causes of insomnia. Develop stress management practices, meditation, journaling, therapy. Address worries before bed rather than bringing them to bed with you. Wind down routine. Your brain needs transition time. Develop a consistent pre-bed routine. Reading, stretching, a warm bath, listening to calming content like this lecture. This signals your brain that sleep is approaching. When to seek professional help. If sleep problems persist for more than a month despite good sleep hygiene, or if daytime functioning is significantly impaired, consult a healthcare provider. Sleep specialists can diagnose disorders and recommend appropriate treatments. Sleep problems are common, but they're also treatable. Most sleep disorders respond well to appropriate interventions. You don't have to accept chronic poor sleep as inevitable. Your sleep matters. It affects your health, your mood, your cognitive function, your relationships, your quality of life. Investing in better sleep is one of the most valuable things you can do for yourself. And right now, you're doing exactly that. You're prioritizing rest. You're allowing your body the time it needs to restore itself. You're honoring the fundamental biological need for sleep. Perhaps the information in this chapter hasn't fully registered. Perhaps your mind has been drifting, catching only fragments, letting most words pass by like water flowing around stones. That's perfectly acceptable. What matters most is not the details, but the act of resting itself. The permission you're giving yourself to stop, to lie still, to surrender to sleep. Your breathing has deepened into a slow, steady rhythm. Your body has grown so heavy, so relaxed, that moving would require effort you can't imagine making. The boundary between waking and sleeping has become so blurred that you might not even know which side you're on. This ambiguity is fine. There's no need to know. There's no need to maintain vigilance. Whether you hear every word or none of them, you're exactly where you should be. One more territory remains: how sleep changes across a lifetime. But this final chapter is entirely optional. If sleep has already taken you, stay there. If you're on the threshold, you can cross it now. The lecture will end soon, either way. You're safe. You're held. You're exactly where you should be. Chapter 7. Sleep Across a Lifetime. You haven't always slept the way you sleep now. And you won't always sleep this way in the future. Sleep transforms across the human lifespan, adapting to different needs, different priorities, different phases of life. Understanding these changes helps explain why babies sleep so much and so differently, why teenagers struggle with early mornings, why older adults wake before dawn. Let's trace sleep from birth to old age. Infancy. A newborn sleeps approximately 16 to 18 hours per day. Not in one long block, but in multiple short periods scattered throughout day and night. Sleep and wake whenever tired or hungry, without regard for day or night. This is polyphasic sleep. Many sleep periods rather than one consolidated block. It's exhausting for parents, but entirely normal for infants. Newborns don't have circadian rhythms yet. The master clock isn't fully functional. They sleep when tired, wake when hungry, with no awareness of day versus night. Infant sleep also has different architecture. They spend roughly 50% of sleep time in REM, far more than adults. This makes sense. REM sleep is when neural connections are formed and strengthened. Infants are building brain circuitry at incredible speed. They need abundant REM. Around 3 to 4 months, circadian rhythms begin developing. Sleep starts consolidating into longer nighttime periods. By 6 months, many infants sleep through most of the night, though sleeping through the night for an infant means 6 hours, not 8 or 10. The transition to consolidated sleep is gradual and varies tremendously. Some infants consolidate early, others take a year or more. This variation is normal, not a reflection of parenting quality or infant temperament. Childhood children ages 3 to 5 typically need 10 to 13 hours of sleep. School-age children need 9 to 12 hours. Sleep is crucial for learning, memory consolidation, emotional regulation, physical growth. Children spend more time in deep, slow-wave sleep than adults. This makes sense. Growth hormone is released during deep sleep, and children are growing rapidly. This is also why it's so difficult to wake a sleeping child. They're in deep sleep more often, and deep sleep is hard to wake from. Establishing good sleep habits in childhood sets patterns that persist. Consistent bedtimes, calming routines, appropriate sleep environments create foundations for healthy sleep throughout life. Adolescence, puberty brings dramatic changes to sleep, particularly to circadian rhythms. During adolescence, the circadian clock shifts later, sometimes by 2 or 3 hours. This is a biological change driven by hormones, not a lifestyle choice. Teenagers naturally feel alert later in the evening and naturally sleep later in the morning. Meanwhile, they still need substantial sleep, 8 to 10 hours per night. The combination creates a problem. They can't fall asleep until 11 p.m. or midnight, but school starts at 7 or 8 a.m. The result is chronic sleep deprivation. Sleep-deprived teenagers experience impaired learning, increased risk of depression and anxiety, higher rates of accidents, behavioral problems. They're fighting their biology every morning they're forced to wake early. Yet, sleep during adolescence is particularly important. The brain is still developing, undergoing significant remodeling. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for impulse control and judgment, doesn't fully mature until the mid-20s. Sleep supports this development. Young adulthood. In the late teens and early 20s, the circadian rhythm gradually shifts earlier again. Most young adults naturally fall asleep between 10 p.m. and midnight, and wake between 6 and 8 a.m. Sleep need stabilizes at 7 to 9 hours for most adults, though individual variation exists. Some function well on 7 hours, others need 9. Very few actually need less than 7 hours, despite many believing they do. Young adulthood is often when sleep becomes deprioritized. College students stay up late. Young professionals work long hours. The demands and freedoms of adult life often lead to insufficient sleep. But sleep architecture is relatively stable during young adulthood. Deep sleep still occurs abundantly. REM periods lengthen through the night. The system functions efficiently when given adequate time. Middle age, from the 40s through 60s, sleep gradually changes. Total sleep time doesn't decrease dramatically. Most middle-aged adults still need 7 to 9 hours, but sleep becomes more fragmented. Awakenings during the night become more common. Returning to sleep after waking might take longer. Deep, slow-wave sleep decreases. Less time is spent in the deepest stages. This means less restorative deep sleep, even if total sleep time remains adequate. The circadian rhythm often advances. People naturally go to bed earlier and wake earlier. This is particularly pronounced in older middle age. Multiple factors contribute. Hormonal shifts affect sleep. Medical conditions become more prevalent. Chronic pain, sleep apnea, frequent urination all disrupt sleep. Stress often peaks in middle age. Medications accumulate, many affecting sleep. Despite these challenges, many middle-aged adults sleep reasonably well with appropriate attention to sleep hygiene and treatment of underlying conditions. Older adulthood. After age 65, sleep changes become more pronounced. Older adults often wake more frequently during the night. They wake earlier in the morning than they'd like. They spend less time in deep sleep. They might nap during the day, which can further fragment nighttime sleep. Total sleep time decreases slightly, perhaps to 6 to 8 hours, but this varies tremendously. Some older adults sleep very well. Others struggle significantly. Sleep architecture changes substantially. Deep, slow-wave sleep decreases further, sometimes to very low levels. Some older adults spend almost no time in the deepest stages. The circadian rhythm often advances significantly. Older adults naturally feel sleepy in early evening and wake very early, 4 or 5 a.m., unable to return to sleep. This isn't insomnia, it's a shifted circadian rhythm. Multiple factors contribute: decreased melatonin production, age-related brain changes, medical conditions, medications, reduced physical activity, reduced light exposure, social factors like retirement or loss of spouse. Despite these challenges, older adults can still achieve good sleep with appropriate interventions. Regular exercise, bright light exposure in the morning, treatment of medical conditions, review of medications, maintenance of social engagement, consistent sleep schedules all help. One important note: while sleep architecture changes with age, the need for sleep doesn't disappear. Older adults still need 7 to 8 hours. The stereotype that older adults need less sleep is false. They might get less sleep due to various factors, but they still need it. The continuity. Across all these stages, sleep remains essential. The amount needed shifts. The architecture transforms. The circadian rhythm advances and delays. But the fundamental importance persists. You've passed through several of these stages already. You slept as an infant, though you don't remember. You slept as a child, dreaming dreams now lost forever. Perhaps you struggled through adolescence. Now you're sleeping as an adult, experiencing the patterns characteristic of your current age. And you'll continue changing. Your sleep 10 years from now will differ from your sleep today. But at every age, sleep matters. At every age, sleep restores. At every age, you need this nightly descent into unconsciousness. Think about this. The child you were slept, the teenager you were slept, the adult you are now sleeps. The elder you'll become will sleep. In sleep, all your ages exist simultaneously, all returning to the same darkness, the same rest, the same ocean. Sleep is the thread connecting every version of you that's ever existed, and every version yet to come. Right now, you're part of this continuum. You're experiencing what billions of humans have experienced, what your ancestors experienced, what your descendants will experience. This nightly journey into unconsciousness that connects all humanity across all time. Your breathing has become so slow, so deep, so steady. Your body is so still. Perhaps consciousness has already faded. Perhaps you're hovering in that strange space between wake and sleep. Perhaps you're already dreaming. Wherever you are is exactly right. We have one final territory to explore: the meaning of all this, the implications of being a sleeping animal, what it means to be human and to need sleep. But this final reflection is entirely optional. If you're already asleep, stay there. If you're on the threshold, you can cross it now. The words will end soon, giving H continue way to silence, giving you space to rest completely. You're safe. You're held. You're exactly where you should be. Chapter 8. What it means to sleep. You are an animal that sleeps. This is not a trivial fact. This shapes everything about you: your consciousness, your vulnerability, your rhythms, your humanity. For roughly 1/3 of your life, you voluntarily surrender consciousness. You enter a state where you're unaware of your surroundings, unable to respond to dangers, incapable of productive action. You do this every day, driven by biological necessity you cannot override. This makes you fundamentally vulnerable, but it also makes you fundamentally human. Think about what you're doing right now. You're lying still, breathing slowly, allowing consciousness to fade. You're trusting that you'll wake in the morning. You're trusting that your body knows what to do. You're trusting in a process you don't control and barely understand. This daily act of surrender, this nightly disappearance, is perhaps the most profound trust you'll ever practice. In a culture that often values productivity above all else, that measures worth by accomplishments and output, sleep is a radical act of non-doing. For 8 hours, you produce nothing. You achieve nothing. You simply exist, unconscious, allowing biological processes to unfold without your participation. Yet, paradoxically, sleep enables everything else. Without it, productivity collapses. Creativity vanishes. Health deteriorates. The very accomplishments culture values become impossible without adequate rest. Sleep teaches that rest is not opposed to productivity, but essential to it. That doing nothing is sometimes the most important thing you can do. That surrender is a form of strength, not weakness. Sleep also connects you to something larger than yourself. Your internal clock, the circadian rhythm governing your sleep, has been ticking for 3.5 billion years. Not your clock specifically, but the same mechanism, the same molecular oscillations, passed down through an unbroken chain of ancestors stretching back to the first organisms that needed to adapt to day and night. When you feel sleepy as darkness falls, you're feeling an echo of ancient life synchronizing with Earth's rotation. You're connected to everything that's ever lived, every animal that ever closed its eyes, every ancestor who ever surrendered to sleep and trusted they'd wake again. The rhythm that makes you sleepy existed before humanity, before mammals, before complex life. It's older than mountains, older than forests, older than eyes. You're part of something vast and ancient. When you sleep, you're participating in a pattern as old as life itself. Sleep is also profoundly equalizing. Rich and poor, powerful and powerless, brilliant and ordinary. Everyone must sleep. No amount of wealth can eliminate the need. No social status grants immunity from sleepiness. Everyone, eventually, must stop and rest. In sleep, all humans are vulnerable in the same way. All depend on the same biological processes. All must trust in the return of consciousness. Sleep is democratic in a way few things are. And sleep is where you're most yourself and least yourself simultaneously. Most yourself because sleep reveals your biology without social masks or conscious control. Your body doing what it evolved to do, unfiltered by culture or performance. Least yourself because consciousness, your sense of being a continuous bounded self, disappears. During deep sleep, you, in the usual sense, doesn't exist. Where do you go during those hours? Not metaphorically, literally, where is the you that thinks and feels and experiences? It vanishes completely, and then, miraculously, it returns. Every morning, you reassemble. Consciousness flickers back on. You resume. You spend 1/3 of your life in a state where you doesn't exist. Yet somehow, this discontinuous experience feels continuous. You wake up and feel like the same person who went to sleep, despite hours of non-existence in between. This reveals something profound about consciousness. Your sense of continuous selfhood is constructed, maintained by memory and narrative, rather than by literally continuous awareness. You're a pattern that persists across gaps, a story that continues despite interruptions. This is both unsettling and beautiful. Unsettling because it reveals how fragile your sense of self is. Beautiful because it suggests consciousness is more mysterious, more flexible, more wonderful than everyday experience indicates. Perhaps right now you're experiencing this dissolution. Perhaps consciousness is flickering, fading, occasionally returning to partial awareness before disappearing again. Perhaps you're discovering firsthand how unstable the boundary between awareness and non-awareness really is. Or perhaps you're already deeply asleep, and these words are just distant sounds, meaningless vibrations that occasionally penetrate awareness without forming coherent thoughts. Either way, you're safe. You're experiencing what every human experiences every night. The dissolution of consciousness, the surrender to biological necessity, the trust that consciousness will return, and it will return. You've done this thousands of times. You've never failed to wake. Every morning, without exception, consciousness has returned. The pattern has reassembled. The story has continued. Tomorrow morning, you'll wake. You'll open your eyes. You'll remember who you are. And this night will seem like it passed in an instant. Or perhaps you won't remember it at all. But for now, there's only this: darkness, stillness, the slow rhythms of breathing and heartbeat, the distant sounds of the world fading, and beneath it all, the profound rest your body is enacting. While you lie unconscious, your body is working. Your brain is clearing metabolic waste, washing itself clean. Your neurons are deciding which memories to keep and which to let fade. Your immune system is fighting battles you'll never witness. Your muscles are repairing damage you didn't know existed. Your heart is beating steadily, patiently, faithfully, as it has every moment of your life. All of this happens without your conscious participation. All of this happens because you stepped aside, because you surrendered control, because you trusted your body to know what to do. This is the gift of sleep: restoration without effort, healing without action, preparation without planning. In a world that demands you always be doing, always be improving, always be productive, sleep asks nothing of you except that you stop, that you lie down, that you close your eyes, that you trust. This is radical permission, permission to be human, permission to be biological, permission to need rest. Your body knows what it needs, and what it needs now is sleep. Your breathing is so slow now, so deep and regular, each breath longer than the last, each exhale releasing more tension, more holding, more effort. Your body is so heavy, so completely relaxed. Every muscle has let go. You're being held by whatever surface is beneath you, no longer holding yourself up. There's nothing more to do, nothing more to learn tonight. Nothing more to understand. Just this: breath, darkness, stillness, rest. You are sleeping, or about to sleep, or hovering somewhere in between where the distinction no longer matters. You are safe. You are held. You are exactly where you should be. The world will be there when you wake. Your life will continue. Your consciousness will return. But for now, there's only this moment of profound rest. Let everything else fall away. Let any remaining thoughts drift like leaves on water, floating downstream, disappearing around a bend. Let consciousness fade completely if it hasn't already. Let the ocean take you to its deepest depths. Let sleep claim you entirely. You're doing the most natural thing in the world, the most human thing, the most necessary thing. Sleep well. Rest deeply. You are safe.